pretty damn good.
Yeah, let's talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about how we be ballin', playing with the Wizards. Let's talk about the Nats and how they always got good pictures. Let's talk about the Cats, hope Rex can turn them boys to winners. Injuries and updates, oh yeah. To the opponent, we stand toe to toe, yeah. To the top, this podcast gonna go, yeah. I think it's something you should know, yeah.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry, and that's Trevor.
Yo, what up?
He's that way now.
Yeah.
We are missing our third party member here. Stoner is doing what he needs to do. He's visiting family, so we won't have Stoner with us, but it's all right. We'll have you go ahead and let us know that you're watching. Jump in that chat. We've got a great show for you here as we are streaming live, as we always do on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on Wednesdays at 7:30. And then we put this show, because this is our flagship program where we talk Washington football team. And we'll be talking about the Senior Bowl today and what targets Washington might look at and how that Senior Bowl went. And that'll be the game for today. We'll also be talking about the Super Bowl and the cool down. And we'll be talking about the coaching carousel that happened in the NFL here in the warm-up. So you can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. And we are sponsored by Pacers Running. For every run, they've got you covered. Check them out in the DC and Northern Virginia area, or you can check them out online. Get a virtual fitting and have your feet taken care of. We're also sponsored by Skybar, 2 successful soft openings.
Yes.
And they'll be opening for realsies here real soon. So
next weekend, actually.
Next weekend, Lexington, Virginia, Skybar. See my man Trev in person. Have him pour yourself a drink. Mention Ref the District, and
see what happens.
He'll smile at you at least. And,
that's the least I'll do.
That's the least of it that he'll do. All right, let's move on. It feels weird without Stoner here.
It does. I'm not gonna lie.
So, but it's good to see family
here.
Yeah, he's messaging us from his taxi in the streets of Manila. So, Stoner, appreciate you jumping in there as with us. NFL coaching changes. This has been kind of an interesting. Probably a lot more openings, or at least it was more openings than I expected to see from the beginning, about the middle of the year. And then, of course, you have the Brian Flores situation that kind of opened it up. And then 2 positions this cycle out of 8 were filled with minority coaches. One of them, some people were a little up in arms about. But I don't really – I'm not one of those people who's up in arms about.
Me neither.
But what did you think about the coaching changes as we talk here on the warm-up?
Oh boy. Well, Josh McDaniel back to the Raiders for his second stint at a head coaching job. We'll see how that goes. I think we mentioned Derek Carr could have, a lot of people were wanting him to come to Washington this offseason because, their coach, they didn't know what to do. Josh McDaniel's not going to let Derek Carr go. So I think that scratches his name off that list. But good luck to Josh out there in Vegas. See what happens. Kevin O'Connell, another former Redskin coach, offensive coordinator for the Rams, is expected to be hired by the Vikings, which is good for Kirk Cousins. He knows what that's all about. So we'll see how that goes. Honestly, the Giants, bro, they were the laughing stock of the division week 17. And just here recently, about a month or 2 later, they are heading in the right direction. I think our boy Authentic tweeted that the other day too. Brian Daboll comes from the Bills offensive coordinator. Josh Allen's all you got to say. Look at him. Now he's the head honcho in New York. And then the defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale from the Baltimore Ravens.
That's a big hire.
Huge, bro, because that's attractive
hire
for defensive players, which the Giants need help with on that side of the ball. That's a nice destination for these free agents who are out there. And
that one's probably more important, I think, than
the head coach.
But
I do too.
In the interim, I think long-term Dabble, of course, is going to be more impactful.
Right.
And for that one, staying in the East and the conversation, keep the conversation there for now, is you mentioned Josh Allen. Realistically, this is where I think that a lot of people are thinking that the Giants might go after Russell Wilson or something there, because there's talk about trading Tony or Barkley and kind of doing some moving parts and everything. I honestly think that they are going to run it back with Jones this year. You're going to give Jones the chance to improve, or to prove whether or not he's that guy to the new regime. And if you can't get it done, then they have a chance to gamble on the guy. This next draft, because this draft, lots of talk, and we'll talk about this with the Senior Bowl. None of the QBs really look impressive. No, but next season, lots more hype around that class. So you give Jones one more shot. Maybe he can maybe Dabble can turn him around like Josh Allen steadily improved. If not, you're no worse for wear. But maybe they are. I mean, I don't think they're getting rid of someone like Tony, but huge pickup there for the defense.
Barkley, maybe.
Barkley would be an interesting one.
But when I saw that Wink Martindale, the New York Giants, I was like, oh man, that's good for them. That's huge for the division. That makes things more interesting for the division. Now, if they can just get the players to fit Martindale's, style of play, it's a different story, because he had a bunch of dogs in Baltimore, so we'll see what happens.
Surprised that Baltimore let him go, but they're going a different direction. The Giants got to benefit off that one. Dennis Allen was the DC. I mean, Saints had a pretty good defense, so it made sense to hire within. I really don't envy the position that that Allen is going in there, because I think that he's probably going to get fired within a year or two.
Sean Payton.
Their situation is just not good.
Sorry, no, it's not good. They don't have a quarterback. Alvin Kamara.
Their cap situation's awful. Kamara is probably going to be. He's probably going to miss some time, depending on the legal situation. Not exactly a good look there. You mentioned Kevin O'Connell. I think that one is specifically to keep Cousins happy out there in Minnesota. That one,
okay, I like
too
that.
Bad.
What do you think about Lovie Smith?
Lovie Smith. I don't think the Bears should have ever fired him. I think that I'd put him and probably Ron Rivera in the same kind of coaching tier as far as like a good, strong motivator, but maybe not
leader of men,
top tier. So Lovey looks good. I really liked the Houston, the first tweet that they did with him, where it was just kind of like the smoke and the silhouette looks, oh man, had me wanting to like run through walls. That was pretty good. Also maybe not a great situation, but they, because
he's been there.
He's been there, and they got to figure out what to do. Still have to figure out what to do with Watson. But Mills, a mid-round QB that they picked up last year, one of the targets that I was kind of wanting Washington to look at, started looking at least reasonable. I mean, you're talking about a mid-round QB, so you're not not lighting it up, but someone who you can at least continue to test out. We'll see where Lovey goes with that one. Mike McDaniel
to Miami.
That some people were questioning his status.
Oh, his dad's black. Let's go. Who gives a damn?
People need to calm down on that one.
Yeah, geez Louise.
Absolutely. That's
going to be interesting.
He was a fast riser for off the boards. Like, I don't think the majority of fans outside of maybe the 49ers really kind of picked up on this name, because he's only the offensive coordinator for 1 year there with 49ers, and now all of a sudden he's a head coach.
Replacing Flores. You know something else?
He was with Washington.
He was with Washington. He was a wide receivers coach first, and then like an offense assistant or something after that before he got the boot or decided to leave. So
Just
It's
wait
kind of
till Miami
frustrating.
makes the playoffs, and I'm sure we'll see that.
Oh my gosh, we'll hear that. We'll hear we told you Tua should have came to Washington. We'll hear all of that. No, that's pretty impressive for him. I'm proud of him for doing that. That's pretty dope.
He's another one as an offensive coordinator. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with Tua. I know you mentioned a lot of people thinking that Tua, wanting Tua here in Washington.
Nah,
Well,
dog.
he might be able to turn that around and see whether he can make something out of it. Josh McDaniels, I think that's a retread.
Yeah.
I'm not really excited for the Raiders. Doug Peterson is another one that I think is going to be.
That's going to be. I like that for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Granted,
I think the most exciting thing about that, the most
Yeah.
exciting thing about that is the fact that he's going to have to face Carson Wentz twice a year. That's assuming the
That's
Colts
right.
keep Wentz, of course.
Hey, he might come to Washington.
There's some animosity there, but Peterson doesn't actually excite me. We talked about Lovie Smith, Hackett for the Broncos.
Oh, that's
Packers
because Aaron Rodgers is
offensive
going to
coordinator.
Denver.
Yeah, that one was definitely a Rodgers come to Denver sign.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's not enough. We'll bring on the tight ends coach or whoever else that was over there. He's going to be offensive coordinator now. So.
He's got a great first name, by the way, Nathaniel. Do you think during his job interview, do you think that he was he actually listed Aaron Rodgers as a reference? Like you just call up Aaron.
Probably.
You
want Aaron to come here? You hire me, make me the head coach. I'll get you Aaron Rodgers. I'm telling you. Nah, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. All those different coaches. But for the most out of all of them, I'm excited to see what Lovie Smith does in Houston. He hasn't been a head coach in a long time. I'm kind of excited to see what Mike McDaniel does as a head coach because a lot of these offensive coordinators get these head jobs. It doesn't quite work out as well. They just need to maybe stay as an offensive coordinator. So we'll see how that goes.
I think that's true for a lot of coaches where they make better coordinators than they do head coaches. And one we didn't really bring up is for the Bears, the Eberflus.
Oh yeah, I don't really know much about him. That's why I don't.
Yeah, Colts defensive coordinator for 3 years. Colts great defense, replacing Matt Nagy. My philosophy here, when Ron Rivera leaves the Commanders, is to go after an offensive-minded coach.
Yeah, it's time. A young offensive-minded coach.
A young offensive-minded coach.
Excitement in here.
You do that for a couple of reasons. Is you gear. There were some stats shown this week where the people who are making it to the Super Bowl have offenses that are just lights
out. Oh
their
my God, we're on the same page.
Their defense hasn't necessarily been that great.
But it don't matter because they blow people out of the water on the offense.
But it doesn't matter because their offense is doing great. So
yeah.
And if you hire an offensive minded coach, if your offense does well, you're losing your offensive coordinator, but because you have that offensive minded coach, you keep grooming more, right? So like if you look at Shanahan, you had you had Mike Shanahan here, who had Sean McVay, who had his son, who had McDaniel. You had Matt LaFleur. So you have these guys all underneath you who you're grooming. So once one leaves because your offense was good, you just bring up your tight end coach, and now you got a new offense coordinator. You're good to go. Whereas if you have a defensive minded coach and your offensive coordinator leaves to be a head coach, they're usually pulling from your offensive staff. You don't. That's not what you want to see happen. You want to.
I am so with you, bro.
So that's my theory. Let me know what you know.
Yeah, because Matt LaFleur, all he's done since he left is Washington is what? Been in the postseason. Sean McVay, all he's done
13-3.
Sean McVay the same. Mike McDaniel, honestly the same. If not postseason, dang on closer than what we've been. So Kevin O'Connell, watch. He's going to get Minnesota to the postseason because him and Kirk Cousins are going to light it up in that North, especially if Aaron Rodgers leaves that division. Oh man, that's Minnesota's division for taking. So
yeah, the North definitely seems for the taking. We'll see. We mentioned the Giants look a
Yeah.
little bit more dangerous. The East is looking about to be the beast again instead of the
We'll see
least,
how
which it
they
has
do.
been. But I'll say this, the NFC East did put a couple teams into the playoffs. So
They did. They did.
Maybe not as high seeding as something like the West, which
Right.
was fairly dominant and obviously has the team representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. But I think the NFC East is ready for a turnaround, and that means it's very important for Washington to find that QB of the future. Was that QB playing in the Senior Bowl? Well, we're going to talk about that coming up here for the game right here on Ref the District. All right, so it is time to talk about the Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl is a great opportunity to really see some of these college players under NFL style coaching. Like they for the whole week of practice, they're getting these NFL concepts from NFL coaches. Mm-hmm. The QBs are throwing NFL sized balls instead of the college balls, which is really big because hand size is kind of a big deal for a QB. And one of the stories that was happened over the Senior Bowl weekend. Let us know in the chat whether or not if you're watching the live program, if you guys watched it. Shout out to my mom and Aaron there and a couple of bots who have joined us.
Gotta love the bots. They're fans too.
Love the bots. The Senior Bowl was not an offensive explosion. No. Which I think some people wanted to be, especially when you're looking for a QB to kind of break out. Now, there was one QB who did kind of make a little bit of a statement over that week, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But overall, for the Senior Bowl, what did you think of the week? And the game itself is more kind of just, some actual game reps. But I think, like I said, I think the practice and getting to know the players is a little bit more important. So what did you think of the Super Bowl week?
Senior Bowl,
sorry. Super Bowl. We're going to be talking Super Bowl week, and cool down. But
I think it's a great opportunity to get these seniors ready for the NFL. I think it's cool that they're personally invited and, they have a week long to deal with NFL coaches that they're going to counter next level. And like you said, learn NFL concepts and plays and schemes and whatnot. I didn't watch the game, but I saw highlights. It just looks like it was the college version of the Pro Bowl. There was tackling at least, but like it looked like it was just situational type stuff.
There was plenty of tackling. There's a couple good sacks, and Sam Howell had a hard time holding on to the ball there. A couple sack fumbles for him.
From what I saw, I guess Malik Willis was since we're talking QBs, I guess we're going to. He looked like he was the most NFL ready from the Senior Bowl, but it's not really a lot to judge on,
Yeah,
we don't get to see.
Yeah, he probably had the most impressive week out of all of the QBs.
We'll say that.
He was someone who I think before Senior Bowl practices started that most people knew about. A lot of people were excited about. But realistically, you were looking at him as like a second rounder or late first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After the Senior Bowl week, really, where he impressed during practice, where he went from not going to be QB1 for his team to being QB1 for his team. You have Steelers coach running across the field to give him a hug after an impressive play in a practice. These things, he just shot up the board, and now he's probably going to get drafted too high. His play during the actual game itself, you can see that he's still raw.
Yeah, for sure. He went to Liberty.
You can also see
the talent,
just how exciting he can be.
Yeah,
like the skill set that he brings. That you're just like, okay, this like if
It's
he
only
can
up from
turn-
here. It's
if he
only
can
up
turn,
from here.
if he can turn, if we can fine tune some of these things, and that's what you're drafting, right? You're drafting
Right.
for a QB that in 3 years from now, fixes those things like Josh Allen did. But
or maybe
this guy
right away.
or might right away. William Robinson says he was always high on Malik Willis. Michael Vick 2.0. Yeah, I mean, you can see a little bit of that. I know a lot of people, I think look about it as far as, you see some of the stuff that, Lamar Jackson, does. Shout out to Authentic and Caleb as well. But raw Cam Newton actually he's got a strong camp in this one. Sam Howell comes from actually the Cam Newton tree. He's actually worked with some of these QBs. And Willis it just shows so much promise. And I just worry like he's going to get taken too high, maybe at 11. And then you put him into a situation where
it's funny you say at 11 because that's our pick right now.
Well, that's weird. The Commanders pick at 11. And if that happens and he doesn't flash like Burrows or Herbert and he struggles, we've seen this before where, they get, they just get kicked to the curb. We got a hand raised, so I'm going to let.
We have seen it before because we were sold on Instagram videos, 50 touchdowns, Ohio State, Dwayne Haskins. That's what we were sold on last year. Like we really didn't like what you're saying right now about Malik Willis. I never really heard that about Dwayne Haskins other than he's got the NFL arm. That's all you kept hearing was NFL arm, NFL arm, NFL arm. He was never exciting in college. I guess he just, he had receivers, credit his receivers for those 50 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin wasn't even one of those number one receivers, which is crazy to me in college. And look what he is in the NFL. So but what you're saying about Willis is somebody that you would take at 11 because we picked Haskins at 15. I thought that was a reach. I'm not going to lie. I was sold. 50 touchdowns in college. I was sold. I was like,
I was okay with it because they didn't move up to get it. So I was just like, okay, they waited. They got a QB at 15. If it works out, great.
And you look at Malik Willis's stats, he threw under 30 touchdowns and almost 15 interceptions. But like you just describing him, he's more electric, more, lighting it up and like raw talent. He's still raw, but he has that raw talent that could easily be fine-tuned probably within a season. And he could be quarterback one. So if we were to reach for a quarterback at 11, barring all free agency and trades, if we were stuck with drafting Malik Willis at 11, if he's there, you take him. You take him.
Really?
If he's there at 11, you take him. You cannot pass. Listen to what you just said. How excited you got about
it. He is excited. You can't. Before the Senior Bowl, I was high on him. I thought that I've said this over and over again. I do not think Washington takes a QB with that 11th pick. I think they're going to go elsewhere at that. I could see them jumping back into the first to grab a QB. And in that, I was thinking, come back in for Willis. But after his Senior Bowl week and then a combine that's coming up, where again he's just going to be impressive. There's no way you're going to be able to jump back up in the first and get him. Somebody's going to take him before you have that opportunity. So you probably will have to take him at 11. One of those things that I think is good and Authentic, shouting out the Commanders here that, looks like a reasonable landing spot is the offensive line's good. There are some reasonable playmakers, not great, but reasonable playmakers. Terry McLaurin is a great one, but Curtis Samuel, could be good. We have not really seen him play, in the burgundy and gold, but one of the things is we've seen here how a running QB can be effective in his rookie season. Yeah, we've seen that firsthand. 2012 was exciting and electric, and so that's something that I think that could happen with. Taking Willis at 11 and probably the only QB that played in the Senior Bowl that I would be probably comfortable with, just because that ceiling is so high. I still worry that there's still a lot of things that you got to work on.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
The patience of the fan base is a thing to work on.
I think as long as we get somebody, we were 7 and 10 this year. Look how excited this fan base got with Taylor's bum ass back there running around like crazy. Imagine, and we still lost. So
imagine a QB who can actually do something with that.
And he could take a hit too. Like you said, if we had to take a quarterback out of the Pickett, the Corral, the Bailey Zapps, the Ritters, and the Willis, if we had to take one, he would be the one I would reach and put and just say, you know what, I'll do it. He's the only one. I'd risk it all for him at 11. Everybody else is a second or later quarterback, in my opinion.
Let's talk about some of these other ones though, real quick. Sam Howell was somebody who, again, I thought is not a bad option.
I like Sam Howell too.
The problem I have with quite a few of these QBs, Willis included, is they're really short. There's not a whole. I mean, there's. Caleb. It was Caleb mentioned in our chat here. This QB class isn't really all that impressive. You brought up Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins, if he came out this year, he probably's QB1.
Yeah,
if he comes out this year, that's how bad this QB class is.
They kind of said that about last year's draft class too. If you think about it, they said it wasn't really that wowy. I mean, the first quarterback to come off the board was probably supposed to be at like 10, but then some people moved up to take the quarterback early. Remember that?
Burrow's class was last year
after Mac Jones, Justin Fields, that one. Remember, they said the first quarterback was supposed to.
Yeah, I'm 2 seasons ago. You're right.
Yeah, this past, everybody was like, the first quarterback should be taken top 10. And
Trey Lance was.
Yeah, but the Niners moved up to get him. 49ers moved up to get Trey Lance at 2 or 3, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
They went 3, yeah.
But so yeah, they said the same thing, and then Mac Jones took his team to playoffs. Trey Lance didn't play, but he was in the playoffs. Who else came out?
Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. So QBs went 1, 2, 3. Then you had Justin Fields and Mac Jones. You had 5 within the first 15. They weren't talking about that being a bad.
Trey Lance was like they moved up to pick Trey Lance at 3rd. Whoever was there, Trey
that
Lance
one was big, but we haven't seen really him play. This is another one that you picked because he's a mobile QB that
so
they had
do
Jimmy
that with,
G. So
do you do that with this year's class, like you just said?
Do you move up and reach? I don't think you do that with this class. It'll be interesting to see where they go. So Sam Howell would be somebody who, if you fall back, like if you trade back and you can get him in the 20s, that's probably not the worst. But
if he's there,
he's a little shorter. He was actually supposed to be the starter. He gets dropped. He drops the ball during the Senior Bowl twice on sack fumbles. The defense on both sides of the ball were just way better than the offenses, which isn't too surprising given they only have like 3 days of practice and stuff. So defense is a little bit easier to pick up in that regards. But those defensive linemen were abusing the offensive linemen. But to me, it's worrisome he dropped the ball. It's their first time with the NFL. So we'll see where he goes, but he's another one who he at least out of those QBs has had multiple years starting, consistently getting better. This last year was a little bit of a drop, but he also lost a lot of his talent last year. If Washington were to pick him up, you do pair him with De'Ami Brown, his old favorite target. So
you do.
It'd be interesting, but again, Senior Bowl. His Senior Bowl was not exactly as electric,
and that's what I'm saying.
Because that's disappointing.
That's why I kind of don't like the Senior Bowl, because each quarterback gets like six snaps, or like
there's not a whole lot. But that's why I'm saying it's not about the game; it's about the process leading up to it. It's about those interviews. It's about how well they're coached. This is their first time getting that, and you get to see that in person. you brought up a QB that isn't there from Ole Miss, right? Coral. He wasn't there. His stock actually probably raised a little bit because he didn't have some of the question, some of these questions that have been answered the same way that they had for these QBs that were there. Some of the QBs did what they were supposed to do. Kenny Pickett, 6 for 6, 1 off-target throw.
Yeah.
He's probably QB1. I don't think he excites too many people, but he at least showed teams that he can be reliable. I think he's probably got one of the higher floors and showed that throughout the Senior Bowl process, that his floor is probably a little bit higher. He's just not as exciting on the higher end like a Willis is. But again, none of these are really exciting. You brought up one before the show in Bailey Zapp.
Yeah, dog. I said I'll take him right before. I did say that in the show because and it kind of like hypocrites or whatever the word is, my point about 50 touchdowns, but that dude threw 62 touchdowns last season at Western Kentucky. Yes, Western Kentucky, but that's 62 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards, and 11 picks. Okay? Just saying.
Case Keenum. I'm trying to remember some of these old
he's still got a career.
Oh man, he played it with he played here. Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, not McCoy, the
Colt
other
Brennan.
Colt Brennan was another
Colt
one.
Brennan. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Colt Brennan was another
Hawaii
one who lit it up. Yeah, so I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. If you want
as a late round flyer,
if you want to take one in the draft, yeah. 4th round, 5th round, he's there. Take him. Why not? He can develop behind Russell Wilson.
He was probably one of the ones that at least solidified himself as being draftable during this Senior Bowl week. But
62 touchdowns, bro, at Western Kentucky.
He didn't do anything to move the needle. Carson Strong, I think, hurt.
Yeah, Nevada. The
biggest thing that Carson Strong needed to do, and he talked about this, was he needed to show that his knee wasn't going to be an issue. That man's got cadaver, somebody else's knee ligaments in his knee. He's got it's like held together with duct tape.
AKA he ain't escaping no sacks in the NFL.
So he at least showed that he can hold up to that, and he's another one. He's probably one that you'll see taken late first, probably. If someone is desperate, they'll jump back in, or taken in the second round, I think, through Desmond Ritter.
I like Desmond Ritter, but I think he said he had problem dealing with accuracy from down to down, which is kind of a big deal. So
kind of needed.
Is that fixable, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm kind of stealing that from Jamal. Let Jamal tell. He tweeted about it earlier, so I'm kind of piggybacking off of that. But
shout out to Jamal. Shout out to Josh Taylor. We shared his video.
He was
in the community.
He was
actually there at Senior Bowl. Got to work with Willis and talk to these guys and Sam Howell. So check out that video if you can. The QBs, again, not that interesting. I can see the argument for Willis at 11.
We'll
see where Washington goes there. Washington did list on the Commanders website. They did list the quarterbacks as ones to kind of watch out for, but they also had a few other here, which I think gives you a little bit of an insight to what they're looking at. Maybe not specifically the players, but at least which positions they're looking at. That's Calvin Austin, the third wide receiver from Memphis, looked as a player to watch. He had an all right game, 2 catches, 45 yards, pretty impressive. I think that a wide receiver is something that you'll see Washington take a look at. And if you're going to take a wide receiver, I think you're really going to want to go for somebody who is a little bit more polished and somebody who is
like
a little
veteran.
Bit larger. Well, I don't know that they necessarily need the veteran route because they do need to lock up Terry McLaurin. So some of the wide receivers that listed as having a pretty good day, Christian Watson from North Dakota State had a good day. Is one of the ones that I've seen listed. So looking over, I mean, the
Exactly.
week, there's a lot of exciting wide receivers here. And I think that Washington could go with a wide receiver at 11. I just don't necessarily think that they had one that was too much of a buzz at the Senior Bowl. So going back to some of the ones that they listed, the Commanders listed themselves. They listed the tackle Gadecki from Central Michigan. They do need to replace, more than likely going to have to replace Sheriff. So this is something where
he got short arms, he said, so keep going.
Yeah, this is something to watch. Now, I mentioned a couple times, defense were showing out, and the offense was having some problems there.
Yeah,
if you're looking at a player to look at, though, there was the center who, for the national team, he kind of struggled a little bit at center, but he's moving from tackle, could be at guard. That flexibility is something that Washington.
Bro, we did that with the Dick Charles. Keep going.
Keep going. All right.
Yeah. This is. I'm
AJ
sorry, but
Green,
I said this before the show too.
Wouldn't be too bad. That'd be pretty good. Yeah.
Jamin Davis ruined my Senior Bowl.
Trev is so
talk
burned by Jamin Davis.
These I know that they're doing their job, but they have to pick somebody to report about from the Senior Bowl. Like, these seniors might even go like 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So like, we need people to impact now. And none of that was showing in the Senior Bowl outside of the quarterback position. That's going to help this team. So there's why I stand with the Senior Bowl outside of the quarterback position.
All right. Well, then we won't go necessarily too specific on these other ones, but they did list linebacker from Cincinnati, Darian Beavers, which is important because they are about to lose Bostic Norris, JK, and Jelks. And they also listed Roger McCreary, cornerback.
Nah, I do like him. He's not bad. I watched him a little bit during the season when I ever watched college football.
So it will be interesting to see. I do think that one of the things Ron himself values is that experience. And
he didn't even go, right?
He was down in Mobile, is what I actually heard. Is he did end up ended up being there. So
boy.
I think that the maturity is what he's looking for, right? He's looking for these players who are coming in a little bit more polished. So I think I would not be surprised.
Me neither.
End of April, seeing quite a few players that Washington drafts. And they come from the Senior Bowl rosters. So we'll see. Trav's been not high on them.
Yeah, man.
So we'll have to revisit it come draft time. If there's a player that you liked from the Senior Bowl, let us know in the chat who you liked. We're gonna go ahead and move on from the Senior Bowl talk. Going to stick to the Washington football team here real quick. Just a couple things that happened today that we're going to talk about. Jonathan Allen did a Q&A session
at like 1 o'clock in the morning in California time.
We posted about the one that kind of got people kind of motivated for Wilson. He also got himself in a little hot water. Just a word to the wise. Hitler, in any positive sense, is not a good thing. Okay?
No, not even. Oh, but before that one, did you see the one about the Dan Snyder too? Did you see Dan Snyder one?
He did mention Dan Snyder. He was just like, he hasn't, he's always been good to me. But that's been Dan Snyder's MO.
Yeah.
Right? Dan Snyder's always he's a fan. Dan Snyder's a fan. He talks these players as if he is as a fan, and so
awful.
And plus, John Allen's not going to talk bad about the guy who
I know, not checks. Publicly at least, but you're right.
Speaking of Dan Snyder,
Dan
Snyder came out with a second investigation third-party investigation. I just hope that this investigation can find the first investigation's report. Hashtag release the report.
Yeah, I haven't seen the first report. So what are they investigating?
So they copied and pasted the wording from the first report. It's new name, same issues.
Lipstick on a pig, man.
So it's just unfortunate what we as Commanders fans, have to go through. Like we had a week of, not even a full week of this new name and stuff, and some turmoil still within the team. Hopefully there'll be some resolution. The deadline is coming up for the congressional side of the House to release more material. The NFL commish came out today and said, Roger Goodell said we didn't.
Yourself.
he said we did stop Dan Snyder from releasing the report.
Nah.
So because that was what was said was they worked out an agreement, and Dan Snyder is the one who's able to stop it. So
scratching and clawing his way, like
they're not on the same page here. Something's going to have to give. So, all right, well, that's going to end the Washington football talk for today's episode. But stick around with us, because when we come back for the cool down, we'll cool down with some Super Bowl talk.
Hey.
The Cincinnati Bengals have returned to the Super Bowl in quite some time, facing the Los Angeles Rams, who were just not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably the best matchup that we could have gotten out of the last four teams. This was, I mentioned this on All Bets Aside. This was the matchup that I wanted. I just didn't think it was going to happen.
You're right.
I was just like, it's what I want. So I'm just conditioned as a Commanders fan to not get what I want. So I was just like, there's no way. But this is a team that's never won the Super Bowl, the Bengals, versus a team that has likable players, right? Stafford, Aaron Donald,
a likable team, a whole team. So OBJ is, I think, is a lot of people don't like him. I love him.
I think that he's still an excellent player.
Yeah.
Von Miller is still an excellent player.
Mm-hmm.
So Jalen Ramsey is just an absolute stud. So it's going to be a great game that we're going to get to watch Sunday. How do you think it's going to play out, Trev?
It's going to be a blowout. The Rams are going to win. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think because the way that it's just the way I feel it's going to happen because of how close all the other games were this postseason. Like every single game was a nail biter, overtime, come from behind type game, thrilling, exciting game. I think the Super Bowl is going to be a dud. I think the Rams are just going to come out and blow the Bengals out of the water. It's going to be close at the beginning, Super Bowl jitters, maybe even 0-0 after the first 10 minutes. But I think the Rams are going to figure out that the Bengals aren't really ready for this moment. Rams have been here before. I mean, the only person that hasn't been there is Matthew Stafford and OBJ. Everybody else, maybe Cooper Kupp. Was he there with Jared Goff? Cooper Kupp?
I do think Kupp's been around for the
years. So they've all been there. Even Von Miller has been there and won one. So the only difference is Matt Stafford. So I just think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Rams win 40-something to 20-something.
Cincinnati's defense can do some work.
They can. But sorry.
To me, it's fine. The biggest difference maker for me is going to be Aaron Donald. That Cincinnati line is just horrendous. I mean, we saw it against Tennessee where Cincinnati won that game. They came back. They were able to win that game. It was a game where Burrow was sacked 9 times.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be one of those games where Burrow is going to be running for his life.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And these ain't the Titans. Matt Stafford is not going to do the same thing Ryan Tannehill did.
That's the worry, right? Like this is
Yeah.
you're going up against Stafford, not Tannehill.
Yeah, exactly.
Now AJ Brown is good.
Who?
Henry Brown.
Oh yeah. For the Titans, my bad.
For the Titans, yeah. AJ Brown's good. I'm talking about the Titans offense right now because that's the team they beat. Derrick Henry was just coming back from injury. Instead, you're going to have OBJ, you're going to have Kupp, you're going to have Stafford, you're going to have much more explosive Van Jefferson, a much more explosive Rams offense to contend with.
Yep.
To go with a defense that's going to be suffocating you. So now, that being said, I will put $1 on it right now. Okay. Jamar Chase is still going to get his. Doesn't matter if Jalen Ramsey's covering.
I got you right
whatsoever.
now. I'll put $1 on that. Jamar Chase has less than 75 yards receiving on Sunday.
Okay, you heard it here, guys. We're going to do it. I'll take that.
I just have a feeling this is the game where the Bengals implode and they're going to be who they were at the beginning of the season, which wasn't that great.
All it takes is one big play from Chase, which we know he can do, and Jalen Ramsey is amazing. Yeah, I know.
And Eric Weddle, we can't leave E-Dub out the picture. My man came back to get this ring. He said, "You can call me champion." I'm done with this. Can't forget Eric Weddle.
No,
Chase over 85.
I agree with you. I think the Rams are going to win this, but I still think Jamar Chase is just different. I think he gets his.
I think we finally get to see Jalen Ramsey actually play. I mean, I'm not, saying he's not good, but we actually get to see him cover the true number one wide receiver and see if he actually lock him down or not. So, because the Bengals lost to the Jets.
Authentic the beard, guys. If for all those listening right now, if you have not gone out to Authentic's channel, go out there and subscribe right now. Do it. Authentic in the Beard, great products, best television show not on television. They stream on Tuesdays. Shout out to them. Thanks for joining us here. Commander Cobra, Sean McVay, 47-1 when leading before half. If that's the case, it's probably going to be 48-1 by the end of Sunday. So it's going to be just one. Man, I just hope it is exciting. I know that you talked about
it a shootout.
Kind of, if it's a shootout, if it goes to overtime again, we were spoiled these last 2 weeks of the playoffs with just some amazing football.
I feel like with the halftime show being what it is,
halftime show is going to be. Oh man,
I think that's going to be a letdown too. I hate to say it, bro, but
you and EP both think it's
going
to be a letdown.
Okay.
Eminem, right. There's like 4 or 5 people in 15 minutes. It's gonna be
Eminem
hard.
Eminem doesn't need to be up there. We know what Eminem's done. Keep Dre because he's a producer. He can work with anybody. But Eminem does not need to be up there. Why the hell is Mary J. Blige on the halftime show of the Super Bowl? For what? For what? For what?
She does seem like the outlier. She does seem like
Snoop
the outlier.
Dogg. We know what Snoop Dogg raps. He does not need to perform. He could host it. He could just be up there chilling or just, comment. Why can't he can commentate the halftime show? That would be good. That would be dope by Snoop. Don't put him on stage. Kendrick's good because we ain't heard from Kendrick in a long time. But bring Drake up there. Bring a female, bring Adele up there and rock it with Kendrick and Dr. Dre. That would have been dope too. Adele came out with that beautiful album and stuff. Put her up there. Mary J. Blige, bruh. Half the people, Mary J. Blige.
Good with it. I'm excited. I'm excited. But these, I know you're only 4 years younger than me, but I grew up with these people, so I'm just like this.
I did too, but damn, Mary J. Blige.
I loved the meme I saw where it's just like kids are about to find out who their parents really are when that beat drops.
Everybody's parents will be watching the Super Bowl for halftime only this year. That's the only reason.
I normally skip halftime, like weekends. I didn't watch his last year. I'm not a halftime. It's just it's too much. I don't watch the commercial. It ain't been good
since Michael Jackson's halftime show, and also since Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. You know what I'm talking about, Nathan. You know what I'm talking about.
The commercials are overvalued. I don't care.
They get weaker every year.
Yeah, I don't care all about that. I love the game. I watch for the game, so hopefully the game is going to be exciting.
The Doritos have the best commercials. They really do.
They tend to be pretty good. The Dorito ones tend to be pretty good. So I'll watch it for the game. We'll see how it goes. Trev has it in a blowout. Seems like several other people have the Rams. We did have one Who Day. William Robinson here
34-31
with the Who Day in a nice shootout. If it is a shootout,
yeah,
I like Cincy's chances.
Really?
I do. I like Cincy's chances if it's a shootout.
Oh,
I think if it's a lower scoring game, I'm a little bit more concerned for them. But if they can get their offense going, it's just one of those. It's going to be. Think about the Bills Chiefs game, right?
Yeah.
Cincy can kind of do what the Chiefs did, where they could just score like this, right? Chase is just a monster of a player. That guy can just score from anywhere. Burrow is just when he's focused, you're just not stopping him.
No.
So I really, really would love to see a game like that, but we'll see where it ends up. We appreciate you all jumping on with us. What you got?
I got a question. Tomorrow is NFL honors. We won't be broadcasting, but I have a question.
Yes.
Who is going to win MVP tomorrow night?
Aaron Rodgers.
I really think it should be Cooper Kupp, but Aaron Rodgers should.
It would be Aaron Rodgers. It's a QB award. I hate it. I hate that that's true, but you had Derrick Henry run for more than 2,000 yards last year, and he couldn't get it.
Yep. You're right.
Yeah.
Valid.
And so, I mean,
FAX. Facts.
It is what it is. So I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. You?
Cooper Kupp. I put $1 on it.
I'm not.
I mean, it's going to be,
it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I'll take your $1 if you want.
It's going to, no dollar on it, but I'm just going to say Cooper Kupp for the excitement, for the gamesmanship.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's going to end our show for tonight. Again, Stoner not here with us. We wish him well. He is seeing family. He's probably maybe still on his taxi ride to go see his family. So,
he probably walked in the door. She was like, "Hey," he's like, "Shh, I'm on."
The guys are talking. The guys are talking. We won't have him for All Bets Aside, but you can catch us on Sunday at 11, where we will be putting down our bets for the game to include all of our dollar bets. Don't forget about this Chase one, though. We will. We won't be streaming it because we'll all be doing different things.
Yeah.
But we hope that you enjoy the Super Bowl. I know that we will. Of course, you can catch us again next Wednesday here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 7:30. Or you can listen to us wherever your podcasts are found. Got you covered. We're sponsored by Pacers Running for every run. And we're sponsored by Sky Bar. Check Trev
every
out
drink
in person. For every drink, they got you covered in Lexington, Virginia.
Yeah, they're
check out our latest video. We have one on Russell Wilson to DC, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think that might, whether or not it happens is in question, but I do think they're going to make a push for it. You can also check out our Wizards Talk with Ed Oliver, where we talk about Bradley Beal being out for the season, and is he done in Washington? All that's there on our YouTube channel. But until next time.
What's up? What do you mean? What?
Be a fan.
We love Washington, and we some die-hard fans. Yeah, we are. You know we keep it on 10. Let's talk about the offense. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And they gifted. We are ref the district.